everyone. Welcome to another episode of Convos with Sazón with yours truly. Our guest today is Adriana Carrig. She is the founder and the chief brand officer of the Little Words Project. How are you?
I am so good. Thank you for having me.
Of course. I am so excited to have you. Obviously, people don't know the backstory of how I ended up reaching out, but I was in your store for the very first time in Soho a couple of months ago. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I wonder what the story behind this is, you know, and I went on a bit of a rabbit hole. In addition to the fact that I had such a positive experience at your store, I honestly felt super at home. I purchased this crew neck and this charm necklace.
So good.
And I'm like, I have to find out more. And as I was digging into your story, I was like, first of all, you have Latina in you. And I'm like, okay, amazing. And then also, you know, October being Bullying Prevention Month, I know that that has a close connection to you and your story and, you know, a connection to the brand. So let's, before we talk about the Little Words Project and your role there, I want to talk about you a little bit. So tell me about your background and ultimately what led you to becoming an entrepreneur.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so my name is Adriana. I'm the founder and CBO, as you mentioned, of Little Words Project. And I started the company back in 2013. So we're coming up on 12 years this November. And it has been a 12-year ride, to say the least. I come from pretty humble beginnings. My mother is a Mexican immigrant, so she came here when she was 18 with nothing but the clothes on her back and has built that American dream story. And she's put so much into me as to, you know, essentially taught me from a very young age that querer es poder. And that really helped me through some of my difficult years, inclusive of a lifetime of bullying. I was bullied from a very, very young age.
Me too.
And that continued well through college. And it was in college that it occurred to me that this is like, for me at least, it felt like a girl problem. It felt like something that we as women can't seem to shake, which is just this natural desire to just, I don't know, put other people down, put each other down, not lift each other up. And I felt that innately. And I always found that, you know, I never let it dull my spark. And I think that's because of my mom. But it is what led to me ultimately thinking like, well, what would happen if women did come together, right? And so I had actually joined a sorority at the time. And this was this beautiful sisterhood. And that's where I started making the bracelets. And I made them for us, and we would pass them amongst each other, amongst ourselves during our meetings. And in general, they became such an iconic symbol of sisterhood for the sorority that it led me to thinking, you know, one, it was my first experience seeing what happens when women come together in true sisterhood. It was such a powerful feeling of actual
sorority?
love. I was a Delta Zeta.
Okay.
And then after I graduated, I saw they were still doing it. They were still passing them forward. They were making them themselves. It became this really like this thing of my chapter in my school. I went to the College of New Jersey. And long story short, I thought to myself, well, if this could be a sisterhood bracelet there, why couldn't it be a sisterhood bracelet for the masses? And that's really where it all began. And now here we are 12 years later, 14 retail stores, sold in Nordstrom, Target, you know, independent retailers all over the nation and beyond, which is always exciting to hear about people who've come upon us in London or other countries, Mexico. We actually just opened in Liverpool in Mexico, which is so cool.
Wow.
Really is just so full circle. And now I'm here.
Amazing. So at the core of the Little Words Project is kindness, right? And you mentioned sisterhood, but it's not just not limited to that. What would you say that means to you? Like, what is true sisterhood? You know, you said that the first time you experienced it was in college. How did you know this was a good place?
Yeah. I think it was just the feeling of people for once not putting each other down, but rather asking how they could lift you up. And it's what really has led to, so that was the foundational reason for why I started the brand. Of course, going through negativity, wanting to create community that was more so about kindness than anything else, not just kindness to others, but kindness to yourself too, because it does start with you. But that experience that I saw in college with that chapter was like this unwavering support of one another. And it's why I still talk about it 12 years later. Like, I'm not just like some, rah-rah, I love sorority life. Like, that isn't what it was. I just I had a very unique experience with this specific group of women who supported me. And it frankly was the reason that we were successful. We were profitable in our first month of business because I was able to send out this email link, this website link to my chapter. They put it on their Facebook pages, and it just started the journey, and the Pay It Forward movement began. So yeah, for me, kindness is at the core of what we do. We've also expanded to not include, we're not just for women, of course. We have people from of all identifying spaces. But it certainly has, the one thing that has remained truly is the central mission and vision of spreading kindness, not only to others, but also to yourself. So yeah.
I love it. And for those who don't know, it's on the bracelets that we see here, and also we're both wearing, are affirmations of sorts. Whether it's sayings or words. I'm curious to know, what were the original ones?
Oh my gosh, that's a fun one. So my first bracelet that I ever made said laugh, because I believe the first prototype version that was like prettier than the ones I was making in college. So these are much nicer than the version I had in college, to be clear. But I said laugh, and it was because I really believe that if you don't laugh, you'll cry. And if you don't laugh it off, all the negative, all the haters, all the things that come your way, then it will affect you. And so finding the humor and finding a reason to smile and create joy is such an important thing for me. It's actually, joy is one of the words I'm wearing today. But then the first bracelet that has the code number 1 on it. So every bracelet, too, just to kind of walk it back a second, has a unique code on it. And that code is used to connect the bracelet to our website, share your story, why you chose it, and then eventually when you pass it on, you can track and see where it goes. So it's this pay it forward connected concept. So when I had the idea for the code, that's when I knew, okay, this could be a viable business. Like, this could be something. So the bracelet that I made with the first number 1 code on it was the word give, which to this day is very much so a huge principle of ours. We really believe in not just paying forward kindness, but also giving back with every single step. And so, yeah, those are my original words, laugh and give, which is so funny because I barely wear them now. Yeah. But yet that was just what this was all kind of founded on, just the knowledge that you can do it if you believe in yourself and laugh off all the negative anyone has to say. And there was a lot of it back then when I had first started. And, really try to give back to your community, to society, to the world as best you can.
I love that you just mentioned that you don't wear them as often anymore. And I think 2 things that I want to point out. Number 1, I think we evolve as people, right? And we will need different affirmations at different times.
Absolutely.
And also something we were talking about before we started recording, the whole philosophy of, because I asked, out of personal curiosity, do you wear the word towards you or outwardly? And you shared, go ahead, what did you say?
Yeah, so actually it was a customer of mine who taught me that this is what she does, and I found out this is a thing in our community, which I love. I love the product and the brand and the community has taken on a life of its own, which I find to be so exciting as a founder to see it actually working. So they are teaching me things sometimes that I didn't even know how they were using the product or what they were, what intentions they had behind each time they pick up their word. But anyway, one of them shared with me that she wears her bracelets facing her when she needs that bit of encouragement, and facing out when she's ready to pass it on and no longer needs that word, which I'm like, wow, that's exactly what we're here to do. And so I sometimes will just throw them on in any way, obviously, but it's so cool to see the intentionality behind it. But yeah, I could totally agree with you. We evolve as people, and things that, look, giving and giving back is still at the core of what we do. And I still have that first bracelet, and I like keep it kind of safe hidden away. But it is such a important realization that it's okay to go through seasons of change, to kind of shake off the old version of you and step into the new one. And I myself am in a current transition, and it's just this nonstop feeling of betterment that we should always be seeking as people.
Absolutely. I don't know if this is the transition that you're talking about, but I know that you were CEO, now your husband is CEO, and you kind of stepped into this chief brand officer. Talk about the business side of things. You know, this started out as such a, and still is, to be clear, a wholesome idea, right? And then to scale it to the size that it has been. And I know that you all drop collections all the time. So talk about how, just like we evolve as humans, the brand has evolved and you have evolved with it.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of had to. And I think the business side of things, it never ceases to amaze me how little I know about business. And that doesn't stop. Now, I will say I've learned a ton. And as an English major in college, I certainly was not planning to become a business owner, right? And that's the joke of it all, that, you know, you can do anything. Querer really is poder. And I did want this bad enough to work for it, to learn how to do it, and to keep evolving every single day. But as you grow and as you scale, something that went from, okay, I can figure this out, right? I know and the reason the product looks like it does is because it was easy to make. Like for me, it was like, okay, this is just a means to the ultimate goal of spreading more kindness in this world and doing something positive from my negative experience. But as we've evolved and scaled, the simplicity factor of the product, simplicity, has actually made it to be the most complicated business I could ever possibly, like the most complicated product I could ever possibly have chosen, because it's not that easy to make in bulk. It takes humans to make the product. There's the materiality of it needs to be so special. It's such high quality, but it's actually really hard to make this product super high quality. Like these are all that as good as they can possibly be, but the natural inclination of any vendor, any client, anyone we work with is to underestimate it because it looks so simple. And so it's been very hard to scale with that reality at play. And the decision to hand the position to my husband was really one that was kind of a long time coming. He joined the company in 2021 after we had just had our first baby. I was like kind of, 6 months postpartum, trying to figure out what my next step was. When was I going to go back into work? And I was working always remotely, of course, but he was supposed to go back into the city and commute for, the world was opening back up again post-COVID. He was working in finance, and one day we just looked at each other and we're like, what are we doing? This was the dream. This was what we said. We achieved the revenue number that we thought we needed to achieve before you could join. Like 2 years ago, we could do this, but we would have to really commit and believe in ourselves and trust what it would be like to work together and so on and so forth. And so he joined, and for the next 4 years, he was really an instrumental part of the growth of this business. He's the reason we're in retail. He's the one who came to me with the idea of the Bleecker store. And I, at the time, was like, there's no way this is possible. And he helped open and expand my mind. And I do think that there is something to be said about a really supportive and loving partner that I don't want to say is necessary, because there's plenty of people out there doing it without that. But it's really helpful when you're navigating the difficulty of building a business, knowing nothing, right? And having to learn. You're constantly needing to give yourself grace and constantly needing to do things that, maybe aren't in the best interest of your relationship, your motherhood, your own person, but that are in the best interest of the business. And it would be really hard to do it without someone who was always there cheering me on. So it was kind of a no-brainer to give him the job. That, and I didn't want to do it anymore. I was like, I'm good on this.
Yeah, that's so refreshing to hear, because I'm not a business owner. However, I've spoken to founders, I've spoken to CEOs, and there's always a warning sign, right?
Yeah.
Of like, be careful who you go into business with.
Yeah.
The personal and the professional can blur sometimes. Yeah. And I love to hear that it's worked so well in your case. Yeah. And I'm sure boundaries still need to be set. But for the most part, like you said, there is that additional layer of like, you already have this trust, right? Yeah. He has always, from what you were saying, even before he was officially part of the company, been a part of the company.
Oh, he named it. He's the one who came up with the name Little Words. And I'm the one who added project, because I think I really felt then, and I still do now, we sometimes still get in the ring about it, whether we should have had project or not. But it for me, it implied movement, and like this was really a community, and it's like we're doing something together as a community by passing these bracelets on. But yeah, he's been a part of it from the very beginning days. He's also just a partner. He's a true friend. But that level of friendship first, what we feel about each other is that this is a team. And if this thing goes down, we're going to go down swinging, which it's not going to
which
do,
we're not putting that in
we're not
the
putting out
universe.
there. But what I mean is like, it's a team. So no matter what, even if he didn't have the title, he would be helping do the job. And that's what I mean. Like there's nothing, like there's not even really boundaries of like, we can't talk about work. No, we're like, this comes first right now.
Pillow talk is work.
Pillow talk is work. And that's okay. We give ourselves the grace to do that because like we've chosen to do this. And if you're going to be about it, be all about it. Right. So yeah, it's definitely made for some interesting dinner conversations in front of the kids. The kids don't like it. We have a 2 and a 4-year-old, and they're like, "Mommy, stop talking." They do not want to hear us talk. Okay, sorry.
Speaking to something that you mentioned earlier, and I know you're very big about, is authentic leadership, right? And so the idea of friends first, partners first. If you're going to be about it, be all about it. So tell me more about that. And first of all, what is authentic leadership, and how do you implement it not only in the external part of what you do for the company, but also internally in building your team?
Yeah. This is actually one of the parts of my transition period that I'm in right now that has been hard to navigate because over the first decade, my answer would have always been share. Tell the whole story. Be transparent. Show everyone everything. Your community that follows you on social media, the team that you're leading, your mother, your family, like everyone should know everything because you never know. Like it's very much so the principle of always be closing. You never know who you're talking to. You never know how they might be able to help, and you'd be surprised how much the community will respond when you share your true vulnerable self. And I remember COVID when that went down, and I said to my community, we need your help. We need your orders. We need to keep everyone in business. I don't want to have to furlough anyone. I don't want to have to let anyone go. And the community showed up, and we had one of our best months ever in April of 2020, which is crazy. But there's now in this next stage of business and moving into this more visible version of our brand, and one that has really been put on the map, I think, due to the retail landscape that we've been in and we've entered. You kind of can't just like go out there and show all your cards, right? Like you kind of have to keep some things to the chest. And I, as a yapper, have a problem doing that. Like I cannot shut up, and I just want to tell everybody everything. And I'm thinking, I really believe in people, and I believe in their purest intentions, and that's bitten me in the butt a few times. And so yeah, I think to answer the question as it relates to my team, I still very much so lead with that transparent mentality. Like I really have nothing to hide from them. I share the ups, the downs, the ins and outs. And I think it has led to them being really committed to doing this together, because I'm sharing with them that I'm not asking them to do anything that I'm not going to be on my hands and knees next to them doing as well. And I think authentic leadership is a version of that, of showing up with your team in the trenches, letting them know that you are there with them and not just for them. I think it goes a long way. As it relates to how you lead authentically externally, that's something I'm still trying to figure out in this new normal, right? So I would say to any startup founders, early stage out there, like go ahead and share it all, right? You don't have a ton of stakeholders like watching and hanging on your every word. You don't have a ton of employees that you don't have day-to-day FaceTime with who are wondering what you're going to say. It's more so like you're just putting it out there. As you scale, you have to be a little more mindful and demure, if you will. And I'm trying to learn how, but as you can see, I never stop speaking, so I'm going to stop now.
No, I mean, I personally love that, but thank you for your vulnerability in sharing that, because from the outside looking in, we don't think about these things,
right?
And people see the Little Words Project on social media or in stores, and they don't necessarily think about the team behind it, And I think it is very important to learn about the brand, but also like who's behind the brand. And I think something that you do very well is you're super transparent on social media. I mean, I'm sure people feel like they know you personally. You share your kids, you share the late nights, you literally show you in the trenches.
Yes.
And I think that is very important.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that, because I'm struggling with it. I'm like, can I keep doing this, or am I like, am I too under a microscope? And it's such a scary thing, but it's true. Like I do really share a lot, and it's only recently that I've started to feel a little bit exposed. And I think it's sometimes it's the customer who doesn't know us, doesn't care about us. They found us walking in the street. They're walking in. If they don't have a good experience, they don't care how many years of blood, sweat, and tears went into this. They'll go leave a review, and they don't care that the person behind the desk is having a bad day. There's not a ton of grace, unfortunately, which was our 2025 word of the year, being given to brands. I think maybe it's because we grew up in a culture where brands were like the Nikes of the world.
Yeah, corporations.
Corporations. Like, I'm not a corporate giant just because I have retail stores. I am just a girl who's literally who's been trying to figure this out from the early days. And now I'm here, right? Like, I blinked and I'm here. And I, not to belittle the growth at all, but it's certainly, you know, as you said earlier, evolving into where you're headed and how and into the growth is really freaking hard. Yeah. And at the core of who we all are as people working here is just a bunch of people who really care so much that they're willing to do what it takes, even when that means sacrificing personal time and work-life balance. And I don't want to do that to my team, but it's like, we don't have any other options right now, you know? So anyway, here I go again. You caught me at the right time.
Honestly, what you were saying in terms of like, you don't want to belittle the hard work. I agree. Don't discredit the fact that it's been a 12-year journey, you know, and I'm sure that those 12 years, as great as it generally has been, I'm sure there have been challenges. So let's talk about that. Have there been moments in this time where you were like, I don't know if we're going to keep going, or I don't know if the original vision that I had for this project is going to be able to continue in that direction?
Yes and no. I mean, like everybody, when I meet challenges, I have a moment of like, throw my hands up in the air, throw my head back, have my toddler like, I don't want to do this anymore. You know, like that feeling of I just don't want to do this anymore. And sure, I've had those feelings, but I think genuinely that the reason we are here, having sold, you know, however many millions of dollars worth of $25 beaded bracelets that look like this, is because I never did stop. And I literally did keep going when maybe some of my competitors decided that they were done. And or when maybe some of the other, you know, people who've come up with me in the industry have thought like, I'm good on that, you know, and I don't blame them because it's hard. And you really have to have this like almost religious like devotion to your idea and to your decision to show up every single day in whatever form you are. And I think that's what I've maybe nailed is I give myself so much grace. And I don't know if it's because of a lifetime of being put down that I'm like, I know how to do this, right? Like I know how to make myself feel better. And so even if I don't do it perfectly, I still do it. And that decision to keep going every single day has never been a decision. It's always just been inherent. And it's like, I'm of course, like, what do you mean? I'm not going to stop after all this? Like, how would I ever stop? You know? So yeah, I think the commitment to the vision and believing in it has kept me here despite the many times. And in some as recent as last week, right? Where I have felt like, wow, this is hard. This is hard. This is really a test. But I plan on passing it.
Yes, and I love that. And I also think what you were saying earlier, of like having that conviction is what takes this from just being another bracelet on the counter or another accessory that people are spending on, and really honing in on the idea that not only, you know, this is what keeps people going sometimes, and more importantly, the community that you have built, which I think speaks volumes, and you can't really put a price tag on that. And I'm sure you see that, especially when you're on the ground meeting customers or when you're stopped and they see your bracelet. So tell us more about those in the wild encounters.
You know, I mean, you nailed it. And that's actually, I would say that they are the reason that I have never stopped, because I've had too many people tell me that these bracelets have saved their lives, you know, and that they've gotten them through some of the worst times of their life, and that they, you know, help them through chemotherapy, through infertility, through losing the loss of a parent or a loved one or a child, heaven forbid. And it's happened. And they, every single time they tell me that it's their bracelets that helped get them through. And for me, it's like, that's why we're doing this. You know, that is and was the reason. I wanted people to help I wanted to help people navigate life's difficulties while through this simple little product that was all as pure as the desire to just spread kindness, right? Like it's so pure from the inner reason to the day-to-day today. Like everyone who touches this product, every member of my team, anyone at the headquarters level to the retail fleet, every single person on this team is so, I think, proud of what they do and proud of how much their work impacts society and the people that they touch. And they really care. And I think that, I don't know, when you do things authentically like that and it's real, it tends to just stick. It tends to stick.
Absolutely. And also because people will see right through it.
Yeah.
They'll either see the care and they'll authentically recognize, wow, like there's a purpose to this versus like, oh, they're just trying to make money, you know?
Right. Which I think has also been the difficult part of scaling, right? Because in the beginning days, like, you know, I'm not just trying to make money because you saw me not making any money. You know what I mean? And like you saw me, my hair up, I look crazy. I'm in stories, I'm crying on the camera, like I'm doing all the stuff. And they felt like they were building it with me, which they were and still are. Many of them are still in my DMs to this day and I consider them friends. But as we've gotten bigger and as I've had to actually like, okay, this just grew above me. So now I have to catch up to the growth, right? As a person, as a leader, as a woman. And so what am I doing? When you're studying and becoming like a master of your craft, like you're not picking up your phone as often, right? And so naturally you start to fade into the background, but you're working your butt off the whole time. And so when I felt myself kind of fade back a little bit, and the motherhood piece kind of forced that on me. But in doing so, I think the community as we scaled and still to this moment, like it almost lost a little bit of me and a little bit of the human element. And so now you kind of see me coming back into the fold. And I hope that brings the human element back into who we are. But I still can feel myself being judged as though we're just this corporation and I'm just another, business owner who cares about you. And I see it in the way that we are knocked off. I see it in the way that I have, and I'm learning, but I've occasionally reached out to some of these people who are making them thinking like, oh, this is just like another girl and I'm just going to talk to her. I'm like another girl and just be like, hey, girl, is there any way that you can like change the letters or change the tag or just not directly look exactly like our product because this is my entire livelihood. This is a livelihood of hundreds of people. Like those things hurt. And I think the disconnect sometimes of that end person is like, but you're a corporation. Like, you don't have to worry about me. And it's like, but I do worry about you because we're just girls and like you're doing. So I have to, nobody understands how hard it is to like put yourself in the position of, I own this big business, but you don't know what my behind the scenes looks like. You don't know how much I've put on the line and how much what you're doing could affect that all, right?
And I think that speaks to like the need to rewire just how we approach other humans, right?
Yes.
Because you would think that you don't have to disclose your entire journey. Obviously, it's a core part of your business. However, you shouldn't have to explain yourself for someone to be a human first and be like, you know what? I hear you.
Yeah.
Like, you're right. Maybe that wasn't the best of me to do.
Yeah. And maybe you didn't realize that that this brand kind of really did bring this exact look and feel into the world. Like there were other bracelets that existed, but they didn't look like this. They had circular letters. I made them look like this. Now we've been making versions of these bracelets since we were kids. I'm not saying I invented the friendship bracelet, but the specific square letters, the gold discs, the circular tag, that's to the naked eye, it's identical, right? So for me, it's like, I hear you, I get what you're saying, and for whatever reason, you've decided that I don't deserve my own IP because I did it before you. I don't understand why or how the human piece just goes out the window. And there's one person in particular who's like trying to make it her mission to take down this company because I reached out to her so nicely, might I add. And that, I don't know. I'm probably already saying too much, but to me, it's like I'm just a girl at the end of the day, and that's been the hardest part. Like really trying to actively not care is the hardest part.
And I think beyond just not caring, speaking to the authentic leadership that we talked about just a second ago, not being jaded by it and really exemplifying everything that you have in your mission and your values as a person as well, because you could have easily sued or like taken a much bigger action or whatever. And we're not going to go deeper into details because I don't want to get you in trouble or anything.
No, but I'm not going to do that.
But I do think it speaks volumes to everything that you stand for at your core. And I think people, whether they know the story or not, just in general, they see that and they resonate with it. And that's why they support you as a person, but also your brand and everything that it has to offer.
No, I have such an incredible community. And sometimes, honestly, they go too far in defending my honor. And I'm like, guys, peel it back. You know, this is all about kindness at the end of the day. And it is what it is. You know, like I'm very lucky to have built such an incredible team, community, family, home team. Like I've got a beautiful village, and it does keep me going. And it's just, I think my purpose of sharing this with you is to kind of show that no matter how big a company might get, if the founder is still there and if that person is still leading the charge, that is a human company. That company is built on heart and soul. It is not built on money, right? It's not built. I mean, every single dollar we made, we put back into the business for a decade. We just got our first round of investment in early 2023.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. That's all. That's gone already. That came in and went right out the door where it goes, right? And right back into investment in the business. So, and we're just every single day is another, like, you know, the constant goal to make the next right action is the only thing that I think about. And I also I've learned a lot from this specific experience that if I'm going to be the business owner of this company and this is going to keep growing, then I need to elevate too. And I have to come out of the weeds and I have to stop. I have to go to the top, right? I have to stop, you know, letting these little moments bother me, because at the end of the day, we are trying to drive impact, and I'm not going to drive impact like worrying about what's going on social media. Like I need to like put down the phone and elevate to the next level. And that's what I do believe I've been doing in this latest transition season. And you know, I'm going to hopefully continue to earn my role here.
Absolutely. For those who are not aware with the business structure of a company like yours, what would you say is the biggest difference between CEO and Chief Brand Officer?
Yeah. So the financials, like that is it. The main thing is like and literally since my husband joined, he came in as COO, but he took that financial element right off my plate, and the need to fundraise, any of the stuff. Now I would still do it with him, but I am brought in more as like Mickey Mouse rather than Walt, if that makes sense.
Yes.
You know, like for a long time I was Walt and Mickey Mouse, and sometimes I'm still both. But lately it's more he handles some of the major business decisions, the budgeting, anything that has to do with the financial elements of the brand, whether we're spending a certain amount on this activation or we're spending, you know, down to like how much spending does everyone get on their company credit cards so that they can go do the activation. Like there's all these little minutia that people don't realize that goes behind building a business at this scale, right? There's vendor relationships, things that just you need to maintain while also inspiring your team, while also inspiring your community. So I've chosen the Inspire team, Inspire community, vision, plan, product, innovation, creative, directorship, all of that stuff, that front end stuff is what I now spend my time on. And he kind of has the back end stuff, like the HR, the customer service, the behind the scenes financial things that really need operations, finance, the stuff that, you know, you need to do well in order to keep the whole thing running.
Yeah, it's just as important in a different way.
Exactly.
As you were talking about that division, I couldn't help but wonder but how you've navigated delegating throughout these 12 years. You know, again, when it's your baby, I don't know if you're type A, type B, or whatever the case.
I'm type B plus.
Oh, okay. Yes,
I call myself B plus. You're type A?
I'm super type A. So just the thought of like delegating anything in general is hard. And I can't imagine what that's like when it's your baby. Yeah. So talk about that.
So I call myself B plus, LOL, because I'm a type. I'm someone who like I don't know. I'm not, like I don't always check into where I'm at until I'm there. I don't know where I'm going till like I'm a passenger princess in my life.
Oh, I love that.
1,000%. My husband at home, he's like my leader at work. I like and I welcome it because I'm tired.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of work to have to keep it all together. And so I give myself grace. I say, you know what? I know what my power is, and it's not in having everything organized and having all my I's dotted and T's crossed. Like I just do things a little backwards in a sense. But I've allowed that to be my superpower. It's what makes me really creative. It's what makes me, I think I'm constantly tweaking to get just a little bit better, you know, not just myself, but our product, our what we're producing and creating. So in a sense, it's been really hard to build a team, not because I'm not willing to delegate. Like I'm definitely willing to delegate, but I also, I sometimes have struggled with just finding the right people to delegate to.
Okay.
So when you have the right person to delegate to, it's, for me at least, I'm like all day, take it. I'm so laissez-faire. I'm like, please do your job. Do it better than I ever could because I am not your expertise and I don't want to have to learn that too. But it's also finding the right person who's going to do that and do it without complaint and or as you would with the level of care and love and attention is very hard.
Yeah.
And I've been, I think for every hire I've gotten right, I've gotten too wrong. And that's been a really difficult part of this journey too. But yeah, you know, we're still here. We still have a pretty decent amount of people who've been with us from the early days and stay so committed despite the constant change that no matter how far out we plan or how much we get ahead of it or how good we get at our job, something comes along, takes us to the next level, and we got to start again, catching up to the growth.
Let's talk about your village.
Okay.
From the point of view of what does it take to get one of these bracelets out to the public? So does it start off with the creative idea and then what comes after them?
Ooh, okay. This is a fun challenge to see if I can get it all right. Well, we start by looking at our calendar, right? We look at the year. We think about what's going on in the culture, what's going on in society, what's going on just out there. And we try to be really intentional about having a space as a company that is for everyone. We want everyone to feel like they have a home with us. Kindness knows no bounds, knows no political affiliation, knows no race, knows nothing, right? It's just, let's be kind to our fellow person. And so we are intentional about where we spend time and where we put our energy, but we mostly just try to be fun. We try to have lighthearted, fun product that you can layer on your wrist that'll help you through the tough shit because there's enough stuff around us that we don't need our jewelry to be so serious, right? So we start off by looking at the calendar, seeing where like little marketing beats we can kind of plug in ideas, what's going on out in the world, like is there a new movie coming out somewhere that we maybe plug in and attach ourselves to in a sense?
Taylor Swift announcement?
Is there a Taylor Swift announcement? Well, she always throws us for a loop because you can't plan Taylor. Taylor just
I was
like
incredibly
drops something.
impressed with how quick of a turnaround you all dropped the whole Showgirl
You know
collection.
what? I will say Taylor and the Swiftie community have been so welcoming to us and so like, because I am a Swiftie myself. I'm not like a diehard, but I've become more so. I just identify so much with her journey and she's a little bigger than I am, but she has been such an inspiration of what she navigated as a woman bullied in the Northeast, right? Dealt with a lot of shit her whole life and been underestimated. I think that when she drops things, we do have to turn quickly. And that's what makes us such a unique product is that we can be nimble. We literally can be quick about it. But it's also what leads to a little bit of like kind of doing things backwards and a little bit of stress on the team as a result because like we can't do everything in the cadence that most fashion brands or jewelry brands do where they're planning out next Christmas. Like I'm not even there yet, you know, like I barely have Q1 done. But that's the process. It's like what's going on as fast as we can get it thought out. And, you know, we try to focus on themes of mental wellness, on self-love, on, you know, so the start of the new year, new you. Okay, how are we going to set intentions for our community? How are we going to practice what we preach? Like all those little things. Then we align. I have a lead designer, Lexi, who started off as an intern for me 8 years ago now. She's an incredible member of our team and someone who has evolved and elevated and takes on so much and physically designs pretty much every single product we sell now. As insane as that is to say out loud, she's but one human, but one 27-year-old, right? And she's done such an amazing job. So shout out to Lexi. But a lot of this will come from her brain. She'll put it in front of me. I'll yay or nay it and maybe add something to it or help guide the story and the creative direction in a sense. And we go back and forth for a little. We get it in front of our whole team and approval processes happen. And then we kick it off to our factory to start sampling. And by the time we get the finished product, the unfortunate reality is we're so to the wire that we get the finished product often like a day before it's supposed to launch, right? So we are moving very quickly. And my goal, my dream, my hope is that by, this time next year, I am planned out for the following year, right?
Fingers
that's
crossed.
what we're headed towards. So more to come, but it's never a dull moment.
So how many people would you say
it takes
for one bracelet? Roughly. It doesn't have to be
for one
an
bracelet.
exact math.
That's an interesting way of asking. I will
or a
say,
collection.
Yeah, I will say
A drop is what you guys refer to.
it takes every single one of us. And as much as there's 35 headquartered team members and then about 125 retail employees. Okay. So there's a good amount of people under my stead, right?
That's
and
about
then
260.
Plus I've got about 30 fulfillment team people. So
we're at 190.
Aren't even headquarters. Yeah. And that fluctuates during season. So a little bit higher now. But I mean, every single one of them, right? Like everyone has a job to do. There's no one that's like not touching the product at one point in time from, myself to, the people fulfilling the product. Like every single detail matters to me. And that experience of welcoming people into our community in a way that's authentic and honest. And look, I'm constantly fighting the perceived value uphill battle of this product, right? Like you look at it and you're thinking like, oh, that's so cute. I'm not going to spend more than $30 on it though. And even that is at the high end for this product. So I don't have a ton of margin to play with, right? And so we don't have a lot of room for error. We don't have a lot of room to, disappoint a customer, right? We have to kind of we've got to do more than our competitors to earn their respect and trust and have them not think that I'm just making this in the basement still. Oh. And I've still have people that say, oh my gosh, do you make them all yourself? And I'm like, not 12 years later. Can a girl win? But no, and in many ways I'm like, no, it's always sometimes funny and flattering in a sense to be underestimated. Not flattering, but it's fun to be underestimated in a sense because I can then say, no, we're sold in Target. And I start to name drop a little bit just to be like, and then they're like, oh, okay, I get it. I now understand. Sorry. So yeah, everybody is the answer. It's a lot of people that it takes to get these things off the ground the way that we do. Now, do you need all these people to start a business? No, I did not have all these people at first. I was a one-man show for 3 years. And it wasn't until 1 to 3 people I would have, interns, helpers. It wasn't until 2015, 2016 that I really started building a team. Which was already 3 years in. So it's doable. You can start something without everybody, right? But as you evolve and grow and you're trying to keep scaling, you kind of have to keep reinventing the wheel. That's been hard.
Speaking of reinventing, so your bread and butter are bracelets, right? But when you walk into your stores, you have charm necklaces like mine, you have apparel. What else, if anything, have you all considered beyond the bracelet to continue to evolve, to continue to build upon an already great product that will add obviously to what your brand is?
Yeah. Some fun things in the works that I can't share,
it's okay.
But just think, I believe, as do many of my counterparts in the consumer packaged goods world, the CPG world, that if you're not going to be the best in the world at what you're selling, then you should potentially not waste your time because it's hard to scale a business to real revenue dollars, to a point of, sale, acquisition, ongoing lifetime profitability. That's a very hard thing to do off of being a CPG company. It just is. So you just have to be the best at it, right? So what my goal has always been is to be the best brand as it relates to bringing kindness to the forefront, self-love to the forefront, and this constant desire to build community. We want to be the best at that, and we want to do it through the products that we sell. So our goal with adding charms, with adding other layering pieces and other items that I'm wearing that's also us, was to enable our customer to share and wear their story, right? What is your story? Wear it right on your wrist, on your neck, and your charms, selection, in your ears, all the things. And then share that story. And, we believe that vulnerability is a superpower. So be vulnerable. Talk to your fellow person in line at Starbucks, right? Like pass a bracelet on to your Uber driver. That connection, that human connection, I believe is going to make a difference in the world, especially in this loneliness epidemic that we are in. And it will breed real connection. So to answer your question a million hours later, I have some things in the works that fall in line with that thought process, right? Okay. Not only things that are going to help continue to spread kindness, but also to continue to show yourself kindness and focus on the mental wellness of your life's journey.
I love that because you've referred to this as like such a basic quote idea, right? And all of what you just walked through, it is kind of like going back to the basics of just saying hi to a stranger. The idea of an icebreaker, the idea of, I don't know you, but I love your boots, so I'm going to tell you, and so really just going back to that.
Yes, it's exactly, that's what your shirt, that's what the sweatshirt says, just be nice. Like, it's really that simple, right? Like, it's as simple as, I love your boots. You made that person's day. What this purpose of this product and any product I ever want to create is it going to be that vehicle for kindness, for conversation, for connection, for self-love? If it does one of those four things, then it's probably something I would like to sell in my life, whether it be a sweatshirt that says something that makes you think like, yeah, people should be nicer to you. Or like someone then gives you a compliment because you said just be nice, right? Like those things, those little micro moments, I just think they bring light to the world and to our lives. And that's what I hope to keep doing with the products we evolve into.
I love that there is so much intentionality in the vision and also everything that you're doing, which is why I'd love to know, of the brands that you all have partnered with, right? Nike, Barbie. How do you all decide who to approach or who to establish a partnership with in a way? Do you take into account, well, what do they stand for as a brand? Are they aligned with what we stand for? And then kind of go from there? What do you look for?
So yes and no. If I'm being completely honest with you, in the early days, if a brand wanted to work with me, I said, yes, sign me up, right? Like, we're trying to get our word out there. And I think that's okay. I mean, now, of course, if they go against your values and they're the opposite of who you are, then don't do it, right? And I think the beauty of the world we live in today is that most brands that are out in this world, they stand for goodness. Like, they're not here, like, it's not like, I couldn't even name a brand that isn't just like aware of like this world is hard enough as it is. We are living through like the craziest period probably of any of our lifetimes. And gosh, it's just like, aren't you tired? Like, let's just like be nice and work together. Like, that's kind of how I look at working with other brands. In the early days, like when Nike approached us, which is crazy, Nike Women, that was like our first big opportunity. I mean, I don't know. It's probably the worst that I'm saying this, but like, yes, Nike, I will work with you. I don't care about any of it. I will work with you because please, I need to get out of my parents' basement. Like in those early days, it's okay to be a little selfish. You're trying to get your mission out there. As you grow and have more visibility and are more, intentional about your own values and how you show up in the world, of course, like I think it's very important to be sure we're vetting our partners and whatnot. But I also don't have control over what every partner does and doesn't do, and I'm also in the business of building a business. And to that end, like we've had partners that maybe have moved in ways that I don't necessarily agree with, but I'm not going to pull my business because it's that'll tank me, right? And so, being a little selfish when you're building something that is driving impact, right? This isn't like I'm building something and I'm making billions on the back end for myself and my family, because I am not. But I'm like, changing people's lives as people tell me with their own words. So I'm going to do what's in the best interest of this business, go forward, and continuing to, what's in the best interest of ensuring that this company remains a going concern for as long as possible. And you can't control everybody. You can't control the public sphere. You can just control yourself and know, as long as your intentions are pure, I think you can give yourself a pass every
100%.
once in a while.
That was so real. Thank you.
You're well. I'm literally, as I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh my God, my husband's gonna, I won't stop being real. But I have no other way to be.
Yes.
How can you be anything else?
You mentioned.
She's like, let me just ask you a question.
No. Because I want to hang on to that. I want to hang on to that sentiment. You mentioned the aspect of changing lives and the impact that this has had. Is there an anecdote from the 12 years that you've been at this that particularly stands out, that left you kind of speechless and like, wow, like this is why I do what I do?
Oh my gosh. Too many. I mean, so many. I've had people tell me that, I've had one person tell me that she struggled to conceive, and I had a 2-year infertility battle myself and had to conceive my first son via IVF, which was really isolating and painful. And kind of, I always joke, I joined these clubs I never wanted to be a part of, and I find myself needing to like advocate for them, right? Like fast forward 2 years, I had my second baby was born at 29 weeks. I had a 10-week NICU stay. I'm now like a part of the NICU Moms Club, the Preemie Baby Club. And I'm like, can I stop? I don't want to be in any more clubs. But in those moments, I find people in the wild, like you said earlier, leveraging the product to navigate life without them even knowing that I'm next to them in the next room. And that, like seeing other moms washing their baby bottles as they're trying to keep their children who are fighting for their lives in these NICU centers wearing bracelets, I'm just like, what? Like it blows my mind constantly. I had recently had a mother tell me at a event I was at that, she's telling me all about her daughter, and come to find after she told me about the story that her daughter had passed away at I believe she was like 8 years old, and we had done a bracelet for them, and I didn't even know some of what she was telling me that our company had done, because a lot of things happen behind the scenes that I'm not necessarily in every weed anymore. And those moments, they take me off my feet truly and keep me going. When I say it's too many, it's because it happens once a week at least. I am learning. I get the ping from, whether it be, the universe putting me in the right seat at the right time with someone that they tell me like, your bracelets have made a difference in my life. And they feel the need to tell me. I don't ask it of anybody. People come up to me now and are like, I just want you to know, thank you for what you've built. And this is why, this is what it's done for me. And that's enough. It really, as an empath, I'm like, it fuels me. I'm like, okay, all right, good. I'm on the right track. Okay, I'm helping this person, helping that person. Okay, I'll take the shit. It's hard, but I can do it because I'm making a difference. And it sounds altruistic, but I promise it's just this desire to, I don't know, to do whatever I can to help in my universe, right?
And like you said, it's like little signs from the universe. It's
is.
like in human form. An affirmation bracelet.
I was on a flight. I was on a train home, and I was with a friend, and my friend got off the train at her stop, and the second she got off, this one girl was sitting across from me. Her name's Ariana. We're now friends. She said to me, I'm sorry, this is so weird, but I just want you to know, like, I really love your bracelets, and it's helped me and my mom through da-da-da. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, what are the odds? I'm on a train car in the city. I'm not that well known, Like, for me, it's like, I'm really not, as the person Adriana, right? The brand, I'm not like plastered all over the brand, and I wasn't for many years, maybe a little more so now. But I just always, it's like, wow, why was I in this car? Why am I in this train car? Why did I have this conversation? And she happened to be someone working in industrial organizational psychology and with a specificity on team building and culture. And I'm like, well, I'm always looking to improve that. Like, come on into the office. So it's just amazing how these things come to life. And I really believe that, you can't, and my favorite Steve Jobs quote that I quote all the time, and my team makes fun of me, is you cannot connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to keep going and trust that the dots will connect in the future. And that is truly how I live my life. Like, I don't know why, but I know I have to. And if my gut says yes, go with it.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. Thanks, Steve Jobs.
Yes.
It's my constant talk track.
You couldn't tell us much more about like what's coming, but is there some inside scoop? Is there exclusive of any kind that you can share with us?
Exclusive of any kind. No, there's not. There's nothing. I've got nothing really up my sleeves. I am an open book. Like I'm not like, it's not like, oh my God, she's sitting on something. Like I would tell you. No, we're getting better every day. We're getting better every day at being a brand, at being one that, you know, people are proud to work for, people are proud to buy from. And that's all I want. I just want to get better every day. It's my personal goal to be better than yesterday. And I try every single day. And I think that's hopefully what people take away from this conversation is that you're never too big. You never achieve so much success that you can't keep trying to get better and be better for those around you. So, you know, better product, better quality, better intentionality behind each product, better campaign planning, better in general how it lands on you when you see it across your feed. Like we're constantly thinking about ways to subtly tweak. More jewelry, so I can share that. We have more vignettes, more verticals, more styles of jewelry that we don't currently dabble in as much. More intentional products that have intention setting purposes behind them and mental wellness purposes behind them. Think fidgets. But again, still TBD, not totally there yet, but this is how I'm thinking about how we expand the brand. You know, our bead kits are something that I'm really excited about, and I'm going to continue exploring. And those bead bars, you know, if we can keep refining our retail and really get to a place where, you know, every single store is performing like our best store, which again requires constant betterment and takes time. You know, we're not in that season that we were when we were opening all of them, right? We're now like, okay, now it's time to stabilize and scale from there. So it's like every single year of growth, you get to a period where you're like, okay, I've never summited a mountain, but I imagine you get to a spot where you can like stand and you're not in full incline. And then like you go up the next incline and now you can stand, and then you go up the next incline. So we're standing right now, preparing for the next incline. And that's kind of where the brand is. But hopefully my goal is to impact cities across the country and the world. I would love to be international one day with a retail store.
Let's speak it into existence.
Speak it into existence, period. And yeah, that's pretty much it. There's some great collabs coming. So that I will say, a lot of great collabs. If there's a movie or a cultural moment that happens that we can jump on, expect us to be there. Expect us to figure out a way. If you think of anything or anyone listening and you want to send us some ideas, I'm always happy to open and hear. I also answer my DMs to a fault. That's going to probably have to stop soon.
I can attest to that.
I do. And my team is always like, Adriana, you kind of have to stop doing that. I'm like, maybe one day when it becomes impossible, I will. But like, it's not that hard just yet, you know. One day, it's getting there. I won't lie, it's getting there.
All right, so to close us out, I want to do some rapid fires, okay? So just super quick, we're going to have fun with it.
Challenge me, why don't you?
Your go-to Little Words Project bracelet.
Believe.
Why?
If you don't believe in yourself, then no one else will.
I love that.
That's my word.
Which collection has been your favorite so far?
Disney Princess.
That was a
the
recent
princesses.
one too.
It was the best one we ever had. It was recent, and I a bell tattooed on my back, like literally.
You also, when you announced that, you were like, you have no idea how much of a dream this is for me personally.
No, it's like personally a huge dream, and one that I can't believe has occurred. And I'm now like, oh, now what? You know, no, Disney was always a goal, and the fact that we made that happen, it's something that I told my dad when he first. Look at me not answering a rapid question, but this is a good one. My dad asked me in the early days, like, call it like a month into starting the business, he was like, where do you think this could go? Like, where do you think it could end up? And I was like, I think I could be sold at Disney parks. And that is one of our places that we are sold. And that right there was like my peak, you know? Exactly. Yeah. It's very cool.
A dream future collaboration, whether it's with a person, with a brand, with the type of moment.
I would love to work with Glossier. I think that it would be such a fun, or like Rare Beauty. Like, I think that it would be such a fun affirmation-based self-love, true beauty lies within storyline. And I just think it could be really fun. I know.
I love that.
That would be sick. That's like kind of my dream.
What is something that people would be surprised to know about you? And that's the last question. So we'll end on a strong note.
This one. Okay. Something that people will be surprised to know about me. I mean, it depends on who you ask, right? Like, if it's some of my, like, you know, these people who think that I'm just some, like, Goliath in this world, is, like, the knowledge that, like, I'm really so just a girl. Like I'm almost like stuck on the ground in the fetal position. Like, I am not one of these in the clouds. I think I'm something, you know, I really don't. But maybe if it was just like an average person who doesn't know me, like probably that I have like a high glam, like jewelry aesthetic, but I'm like a down home girl at the end of the day. Like I want to be in a t-shirt and jeans and a lot of jewelry. Like, you know, like I don't want to be, you know, I like vintage things. I like old stuff. Like I'm not like high gloss human. Like I'd rather just like deck myself out in jewelry and be in like a t-shirt and jeans at all times. Okay. That's my thing.
I love it. Is there anything else you want to share before we close out?
No, just, you know, if you are out there starting something on your own, I'd say, you know, try to just keep going and know that it is hard. It's supposed to be hard. It's okay that it's hard, and don't give up just because it's hard. It's only going to get harder, but that's a part of it, and that's okay. And nothing good in life is easy to achieve.
And just because it's hard doesn't mean it's impossible.
It does not. Nothing is impossible. The only thing my mother always says, the only thing that does not have an answer is death. Not to end on death.
Fair.
It's true. She's like, everything else is figure outable. Everything else. So, you know, focus on your health, your well-being, and really believe and trust that querer es poder.
Yeah. Amen. Well, thank you so much for your time. I believe so much in your mission, so it really is such an honor to have had you here today.
Thank you.
And I'm sure that I speak on behalf of everyone listening and watching that we are very anxiously awaiting the next collection, the next drops, the things that you have up your sleeve. So, todo el éxito, and thank you again.
Muchas gracias.
Bye, everyone. Until next time.